All right, Sinner versus Djokovic, semifinals at Wimbledon. And I'm here to tell you why Sinner will beat Novak Djokovic, or at least that's my prediction, in the semifinals this year to make the final to play Carlos Alcaraz, who I believe will be the winner of him versus Fritz. But this video is going to break down the Sinner versus Djokovic matchup, why I think what I think, and we're going to get into their stats from the last match, how they got here, and break it all down. This is the slice presented by Betway. Let's go. All right, we are back in the sack, and I'm so excited for this match. The odds makers at Betway have Novak Djokovic as the underdog at plus 175 and Sinner as the favorite at minus 223. And I think that's about right. So thanks for being here. Subscribe if you haven't. The Slice is where we interview top players like Carson Branstein, who we just did, break down matches like this one, and we get into tennis because it's the best sport in the world. And Djokovic is playing at 30 years old versus 38 years old versus the much younger Jannik Sinner, who I believe is 23. And that should tell you all you need to know right now. Jannik Sinner is coming into the prime of his career. Just beat Djokovic at the French Open. Has won their last 4 matches in a row, and is coming into the prime of his career. Djokovic has the most decorated career in the history of men's tennis, but he's 38 years old. So the fact that he's still playing at this level is unbelievable. He's by definition the third best player this year. I don't care what his ranking says. He was in the semifinals of Australia, the semifinals of the French, and now the semifinals of Wimbledon at 38 years old. That's absolutely incredible. It's been a crazy season for him because those are kind of like the only 3 tournaments he's played really well in, but those are the biggest 3 tournaments, and they're the ones that matter. So the question here today is, who's going to win, Sinner versus Djokovic? And I'm saying I believe Sinner's going to win, because when you put up the strengths versus the weaknesses between the two guys, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 strengths for Sinner over Djokovic in these categories, and 2 for Djokovic. So I think the cards are a little stacked against Djokovic, and I don't think that's crazy to say at this stage of his career that him beating Sinner, even though he's won 7 Wimbledons, Sinner's never made it past the semifinals at Wimbledon. I think this year it would be a bit of an upset if Djokovic beats Sinner. And I'm happy to be wrong. And I will throw up my stats here over my predictions. I do these predictions every once in a while. I've picked 12 winners in a video like this over the last since 2017, and I've gotten 75% of them right. So there's a little bit of a track record there. And one of the most bold calls I did was Sinner to beat Djokovic in the semifinals of Australia last year, 2024. At that point, Sinner hadn't won any majors, had never beaten Djokovic at a major, but it was his time. Since then, he's obviously won Australia, the US Open, and Australia, and been banned from the sport for 3 months. Came back, made the final of the French Open, almost won it, had 3 championship points. But he's the number 1 player in the world right now for a reason. And if you look at their head-to-head, Sinner's won their last 4 matches, and he's won 5 of their last 6, going back to the end of the Nitto ATP Finals. But really, 2024 and on, the Australian Open semifinal, he won. He won on hard court in Shanghai. And I guess the real reason I feel I have confidence in him to win here at Wimbledon is he beat Djokovic a month ago at Roland Garros on clay. Also a surface that is not Jannik's best. His best is obviously a hard court. So the question is, at Wimbledon, Djokovic has won this 7 times. This is his best surface, arguably, at this stage of his career, maybe. I would say on this surface, he has more experience and more of an edge versus the entire field. But I still think Sinner is going to win. So let's go through the categories that I have and talk about them. And I guess I will be putting one more there on Djokovic's side. So power game from the baseline. Who hits a ball bigger at this stage of his career? Jannik Sinner does. He's got more power on the forehand, the backhand. I think in baseline rallies, he's going to be the one dictating more when they play on Friday at Wimbledon. So obviously, Djokovic has the brains and the tools to not want to be in those rallies unendingly. He will use his variety, which is, boom, that's a strength of Djokovic that is higher than Sinner. Djokovic has more variety in his game. He has more experience on the Wimbledon court. Then we had to use the slice, keep the ball low, use the angles of the court. So that's an advantage for him in that sense. I would actually give the serve advantage to Sinner. I think he's got the bigger serve right now, and the way he hits it and defends it is a little bit better than Djokovic. I think Djokovic has been not perfect in the last few matches against Kabuli and De Minaur. His serve's been able to be broken, and he's going to have to protect it against Sinner because Sinner's return is amazing as well. I'll give the return to Djokovic out of respect, all-time greatest returner. His return is going to have to be great. He's going to have to be aggressive. He's going to have to pick his moments. When he looks at break points, he's going to have to take them. So we got power and the serve to Sinner. We got the return and the variety to Djokovic. Time on court. How fatigued are they going to be? I saw Djokovic fall 2 points from the end of the Kabuli match, and he took a long time to get up. Is he even going to be healthy for this match? That's actually a question. You never know. Time on court so far. Sinner spent 9 hours and 50 minutes on court. Djokovic has spent 13 hours and 23 minutes on court. So like 3.5 hours more time on court for the 38-year-old than the 23-year-old. So that's another advantage for Sinner. Age, that's a big advantage. 15 years younger. Not quite in the prime of his career probably, but definitely getting there. And youth, less time on court, energy is going to be all in Sinner's favor. And second to last, the head-to-head. 3 wins in a row. Sinner doesn't wonder if he can beat Djokovic. Yes, he's never beaten him at Wimbledon, so there's a slight question there. But he's beaten him at the semifinal stage of a major twice now, and he's won 3 majors of his own. So he has the confidence to do this. I don't believe it's a question in his head anymore. It's a matter of him having to execute, but that's always the question. Lastly, another advantage to Djokovic is the surface. Yes, Djokovic has won this title 7 times. He's played this tournament, or he's won this tournament 7 times, probably more than Sinner's played it. So yeah, we are definitely on a surface that Djokovic knows better. I just don't think that's going to be enough against Sinner and all the sauce he has going on. But we'll see. That's why we play the game, of course. I was looking back at when Djokovic beat Alcaraz in the quarterfinals of Australia this year. That's a match. If I could see Djokovic beating Sinner on Friday in a similar fashion, where the stats show it being a fairly close match. 4 sets. Djokovic won it 4-6, 6-4, 6-3, 6-4. In those 6-4, 6-3, 6-4 sets that he won, there's moments in there that he played better than Alcaraz, and he was able to get an edge in those sets. The scoreline looks more simple there than that was, for sure. But matches come down to moments so many times. Djokovic on the center court of Wimbledon has arguably been the best ever at seizing those moments. Maybe he'll do it against Sinner, and I think he'll have the chance to. I think it's not going to be a blowout. I would honestly be surprised if it's 3 sets. But Djokovic is going to have to play the big moments great. This is always the key. And I guess as I'm thinking about it now, will there be any hangover in the tightest moment, in the tightest match he's ever played, Jannik Sinner versus Alcaraz at Roland Garros? Sinner let that match get away. He had 3 championship points on return, and then he could have served it out, and he wasn't able to. So he wasn't able to find what he needed to in those moments. Is there going to be any lingering effect there in the tight moments against Djokovic? We'll have to wait and see. But I really think with the quickness, with how flat Sinner hits his ball, with the quickness of the surface and the conditions, the ball is going to be behind Djokovic a lot, and he's going to be having to defend a lot. And I just don't think that's sustainable versus Sinner at this stage. I think Sinner is a taller, younger version of Djokovic that can hit the ball bigger and serve it massively. So I just don't see it happening, but of course it could because he's the GOAT. I'm never going to completely doubt him. And I think he does have a serious chance to beat Sinner, but I'm just predicting that Sinner is going to win. And I will predict in 4 sets. So I've said a lot. Let me know your thoughts down below. That's my take. There's too many categories that Sinner has an advantage in, I think, to feel comfortable pulling a Djokovic prediction. And the odds makers at Betway, like I said have Sinner as the -223 favorite. We haven't even looked yet at their route to the final. I think adding to the time on court, if you look at Djokovic versus Kaboli, he played well for sure. 6-2, 7-5, 6-4. He played again, kind of like the Alcaraz match. He found the moments in that match where he took those sets. But Kaboli gave him some things. Kaboli's definitely not Jannik Sinner. And that was similar actually to de Minaur. de Minaur cooked in the first set, had chances in each of those 6-4 sets. Djokovic played better in the bigger moments, but de Minaur could have, I think, gotten at least one of those sets, could have found his best in the big moments, wasn't able to do it. So de Minaur, Kaboli couldn't. I think Sinner can, and I think he will. So that's that. That's a full preview and prediction of Sinner versus Djokovic. Let's hop over to the ladies, where we have Bencic versus Swiatek. Bencic beats Andreeva, as I've been told to say, in a great match today, 7-6, 7-6. And Swiatek versus Samsonova, 6-2, 7-5. The 4 ladies remaining are serious ballers. One of them is going to win Wimbledon for the first time. Sabalenka versus Anisimova, incredible matchup. We've talked about it already on the last show. Bencic versus Swiatek, the Swiss precision versus the Polish machine. Swiatek, can she prove the doubters wrong that she can get it down on grass? We will have to wait and see. Swiatek, Bencic, that's a tough one to pick. I'm going to roll Swiatek there. She's won too much. She's won too many majors for me to doubt her when she's playing at this level to the semifinals of Wimbledon. And then Sabalenka versus Anisimova. Excuse me. Lots of tennis being watched. I'm going Sabalenka. Sabalenka Swiatek for Wimbledon would be epic. I would love to see that, but Anisimova has definitely got a serious chance as well. So that's a preview on the second set of semifinals at Wimbledon. May the best man win. May the best woman win. Leave your thoughts below on all that. Appreciate you being here. There's my picks. Let's see yours. We'll see you after the matches. Back on the slice.